Jai Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai
Jaya
Advaita
Advaita
Chandra,
Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya
Jai
Shri
Jai
Chaitanya,
Shri Chaitanya, Jai
Jaya
Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita
Jai
Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
So we'll continue reading from Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. We are on chapter 16. Can
Can I read?
somebody please? Please.
After hearing the different explanations of the Atmaram verse, Sanatana Gosvāmī was struck with wonder and he fell down in devotion at the feet of Lord Chaitanya. I understand that you are personally the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Sanatana said, and by your breathing have come many manifestations of the Vedic literature. You are the teacher of Srimad Bhagavatam and you best know the meaning of the words of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is not possible for others to understand the confidential meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam without your mercy. Do not try to equalize me in that way, the Lord told Sanatana. Just try to understand the real nature of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the sound representation of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is not different from Krishna. As Krishna is unlimited, so each word and each syllable of Srimad Bhagavatam has unlimited meanings. One can understand these meanings through the association of devotees. Don't then say that Bhagavatam is simply a collection of answers to questions.
So because Atmaram verse, Lord Chaitanya explained to him in 60 ways. Then he told him, see now by your association, I got one more realization and one more explanation. So then Sanatana Goswami, after hearing these explanations, he's saying, you're the Supreme Lord himself. Otherwise who could explain Bhagavatam like that? Who could? And how does the Vedas come? What is Sanatana saying?
Breathing, from the breathing.
Yes, from the breathing of the Supreme Lord. So Sanatana is saying, you are the Supreme Lord, you are the one from who the Srimad Bhagavatam is coming. That's why you can explain it like this. Now, what is Lord Chaitanya saying? Because he's come as a Channa avatar. He's come as a covered incarnation. He does not like to be called Krishna because he is in the mood of a devotee. So he's saying, no, don't just try to, put me up there. No, you try to understand what is Bhagavatam. So what is he saying? What is Bhagavatam? It is what kind of representation of Krishna?
Sound.
Sound representation. Yeah. Why is it called sound representation of Krishna?
Because he spoke, right? Not spoke,
Because
like it became heard, right? No?
Because Bhagavatam is only about Krishna and his devotees. That's why it's called sound representation. If we see each and every word of Bhagavatam, there's nothing else in Bhagavatam except Krishna, his incarnations, and his devotees, devotional service. That's why it's the sound representation. And so it's not different from Krishna. It's Krishna himself. Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. Prabhupada said, if you study Bhagavatam, you can see Krishna in the pages of Bhagavatam. So then Lord Chaitanya is saying such a beautiful thing. What is he saying? He's saying Krishna is unlimited. Now, Bhagavatam is a sound representation of Krishna. So Bhagavatam is also Krishna. So every word of Bhagavatam is also unlimited. Each and every word and syllable of Bhagavatam has unlimited meanings. And then how we can understand the Bhagavatam? Only in the association of devotees. Otherwise, we cannot understand Bhagavatam. If we hear from professional reciters, we won't be able to understand Bhagavatam. The devotees, they reveal Bhagavatam to us, as Sukadev Gosvāmī is revealing, as Srila Prabhupada is revealing the Bhagavatam to us. So it's beautiful, huh? Okay.
Yeah. There were 6 questions put by the sages of Naimisharanya to Suta Goswami. And Suta Goswami answered the 6 questions in Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a verse in the Vedic literature in which Lord Shiva says, "As far as Bhagavatam is concerned, I may know it, or Sukadev or Vyasadev may know it, or we may not know it. But actually, Bhagavatam is to be understood by the devotional service and from a devotee, and not by one's own intelligence or by academic commentaries." At the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.23, the sages of Naimisharanya asked Suta Goswami, "Dhruti Yogeshwara Krishna Brahmanay Dharma Varmani Swayam Kashtam Adhunopete Dharmaha Kam Sharanam Gataha." My dear sir, now that the Lord has departed for his own abode, kindly tell us, whatever the principles of religion have gone with him, how can we find such principles after his departure? The reply was given in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.43. Krishna ve swadam dham upogate dharma jnanandabhi saha kalau nashtadrisham esha puro ankaro adhunotihi adhunoditaha. After Krishna departed to his abode with all religious principles, his representation, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Mahapuran, remains as the blazing, illuminating sun.
So the sages of Naimisharanya, they know that Kali Yuga is coming. They know that Kali Yuga, very dark age, people, whatever, we don't have qualification, lazy, unguided, unfortunate, all those things. Those are our qualifications. So whatever we may call it, or disqualifications. But anyway, and then Lord Krishna had just departed. So now the sages are concerned. We see how the sages are, the munis. They're worried about us. That, how the people who are going to come, who's going to show them the right path? Because it's a dark age. What are they going to do? Now Lord Krishna is not there. Who's going to guide them of what is the goal of life? So then, Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami, because they are asking to Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami is giving the answer. That Bhagavatam is like the blazing, illuminating sun. That's the reason Krishna arranged for Bhagavatam to be spoken just before Kali Yuga actually became full-blown, So Krishna, he wanted Bhagavatam to be spoken so that people like us can get the guidance, get the light, as it said, What do we have to do? What do we don't have to do? Bhagavatam, Lord Caitanya gave so much importance to Bhagavatam. He himself would hear Bhagavatam every day from Gadadhar Pandit. And some pastimes, especially of Dhruv Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj, he would hear them repeatedly. And Lord Caitanya, he stressed on Bhagavatam and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Regularly. By hearing Bhagavatam, we are serving Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is two. One is the devotee Bhagavat and Bhagavatam itself. Devotee Bhagavat is the devotee who's leading his life as the principles of Bhagavatam. So serving both.
Lord Chaitanya then told Sanatana Goswami, I was just like a madman in describing this Atmaram verse in so many ways. Do not mind if I have said something mad, but if someone's become a madman like me, he can understand the real meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam as I have explained it.
So Lord Chaitanya is saying he's madman, but he's actually what? Mad in love for Krishna. That's what he's trying to say. Madman like me. Not that, like somebody who's actually lost his mind, but like how we say madly in love, like that. So that's what Lord Chaitanya is saying. One who is so much in love with Krishna, madman like me, he can understand the real meaning of Bhagavatam, as I've explained it. So that's why we need to hear from the pure devotees.
Then Sanatana Goswami, with folded hands, fell at the feet of Lord Chaitanya and prayed as follows: My dear Lord, you have asked me to prepare a book on the regulative principles of devotional service. But I belong to the lowest caste. I have no knowledge. I do not know how such an important task can be finished by me. If you will kindly give me some hints about the preparation of such a book on devotional service, it may be that I shall be qualified to write it.
So this is a quality of a devotee. Sanatana Goswami is a pure devotee of the Lord. He's at the liberated platform, but he's showing us how to be humble. He's thinking himself completely unqualified for the service Lord Chaitanya has given him to write the book. So he's asking for Lord Chaitanya's mercy. He's asking for Lord Chaitanya's guidance of how he can be able to write.
The Lord then blessed him, saying, By the grace of Krishna, whatever you write will come out of your heart and be accepted. As you have requested, I will now give you some notes that you can take down. The first and the foremost point is that one should accept a bona fide spiritual master. That is the beginning of the spiritual life. Lord Chaitanya then requested Sanatana Goswami to write down the symptoms of a true guru and the symptoms of a true disciple. The symptoms of a guru are described in the Padma Puran. A person who is qualified Brahmin and at the same time has all the symptoms of a devotee can become a spiritual master for all the classes of a man. Such a devotee and spiritual master must be respected as God himself, even though a person may be born in a very respectable Brahmin family, he cannot become a bona fide spiritual master if he is not a devotee of the Lord. One should not mistakenly think that a bona fide spiritual master has to be born in a so-called Brahmin family. The idea is that a spiritual master must be qualified Brahmin. That is, he must be qualified by his activities.
So Lord Chaitanya first blesses him because Sanatana Goswami asked him. So he gives him, he says, by Krishna's grace, you will be able to write perfectly. And then, of course, he tells him the first foremost point he's saying that you have to accept a bona fide spiritual master. This is how spiritual life begins. And then, of course, to explain what are the symptoms of a bona fide spiritual master. Bona fide spiritual master is one who knows the science of Krishna. He can take us back home, back to Godhead. He is a pure devotee of the Lord. As Lord Chaitanya is saying, doesn't matter which family he is born in, which country, which community, which society, but he is a pure devotee of the Lord. He has all the symptoms of a devotee. So because he's a devotee, he's already a Brahmana, as we were saying, no? Someone who's done masters has already done his what's that?
Undergrad, bachelor's.
Undergrad. Yes, thank you. So if one is a pure devotee, he's automatically a Brahmana. So that's the main symptom of a bona fide spiritual master, that he's a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. Okay.
This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, when Narad speaks of the different symptoms characterizing the 4 divisions of the social life. Narad therein states that Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra should be selected by their individual qualification. In his commentary, Sridhar Swami has noted that birth in a family of Brahmana does not necessarily mean that one is a Brahmin. One must be qualified with a Brahmin symptoms which are described in the Shastras. In the disciplic succession of the Gaudiya Vaishnav Sampradaya, there are 2 great acharyas, Thakur Narottam and Shyamananda Goswami, who were not born in the Brahmin families but were accepted as the spiritual masters by many famous Brahmanas, including Ganga, Narayan, and Ram Krishna.
So Ganga Narayan, he was from a very Brahminical family, like how those Brahmanas are that, okay, I'm born in a Brahmin family and all that. And then he took initiation from Narottam Das Thakur. Narottam Das Thakur was the son of a king. He was a prince. But he is a great spiritual master, great acharya. And here, of course, also Srila Prabhupada is mentioning Shyamnanda Goswami. And Ram Krishna was his disciple. Yeah. And then
Ramakrishna is one, Ramakrishna Paramahansa. The one?
no,
right?
no.
In this way, there are symptoms which both the prospective spiritual master and the prospective disciple must have. And both the disciple and the spiritual master must see whether the other is eligible to become either a bona fide spiritual master or a bona fide student. One should then know that the only worshipable object is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one should learn the various mantras and the sacred songs.
So both of them have to test each other. The disciple tests the spiritual master, and the spiritual master tests the disciple, because it's a relationship, right? It's an eternal relationship. And so both test. The disciple has to see, will I be able to follow the instructions of the spiritual master? Is the spiritual master, does he have confidence in him that he'll be able to take me back home, back to Godhead? The spiritual master sees that, is this student sincere enough? Is he really sincere?
In this way, there are symptoms which both the prospective spiritual master and the prospective Sanatana Goswami to describe the symptoms of those persons are eligible to accept the mantras and to describe how the mantras should be understood and perfected by the ritualistic performances. Then the Lord instructed Sanatana to describe initiation, morning duties, and the duties of the cleanliness, washing the face, brushing the teeth, and so on. The process of the work and the prayers to be recited both in the morning and the evening. The Lord also told him to describe how one should worship the spiritual master, how to mark one's body with the gopi chandan, how to collect tulsi leaves, how to wash the room in the temple of the Lord, and how to awaken Krishna from sleep. Then Lord Caitanya instructed Sanatana to describe different methods for worship the Lord, with 5-fold, 16-fold, or 50-fold paraphernalias, how to worship the Lord by offering him arati 5 times a day, and how to offer food to Krishna and lay him down on his bed. Next, Lord Caitanya instructed Sanatana to write about the characteristics of both the forms of the Lord in the
temple and Shalagram Shiva.
Instructed Sanatana to write about the characters of both the form of the Lord in the temple and the Shaligram Shila, and also to write about the effect of going to holy places where there are different temples of the Lord and seeing the form of the God in the temple. Sanatana was also instructed to glorify the transcendental name of the Lord and to describe the different offenses one can commit while chanting the Lord's name or worship the deity. In the worship of the Lord, certain paraphernalias are used, such as the conch shell, water, incense, and the fragrant flowers. The Lord instructed
Sanatana to describe this.
The Lord instructed Sanatana to describe these, along with the chanting of the prayers and hymns, circumambulation, and the offering of the obeisances. Other topics for Sanatan to explain include following the regulative principles of Purush Achar, Purush Purna Acharna, Purna Acharna, accepting Krishna prasadam, rejecting foodstuff not offered to Krishna, and not indulging in defaming a devotee who has the actual symptom of a devotee.
Lord Chaitanya is being very specific about the do's and don'ts of deity worship, of Vaishnava etiquette. You know, he's very clearly saying all the instructions.
Lord Chaitanya also instructed Sanatan to describe the symptoms of a holy man, the process of satisfying the sages, and the value of rejecting the society of undesirable persons and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam constantly. Also to be described were how to follow the daily, fortnightly, and monthly duties, how to observe fasting on the Ekadashi day, how to observe ceremonies like the birthday of the Lord, and how to observe fasting not only on Ekadashi, but also on Janmashtami, Vaman Dwadashi, Ram Navami, and Narsimha Chaturdashi. Lord Chaitanya also instructed Sanatan to explain that it is helpful in the advancement of the devotional service to avoid fast days that overlap with other days. Vidha.
Haribo? Neha?
Along with the general behavior. Yeah, can you hear me? I'm saying.
Oh, we lost you for a moment.
Oh, really? Also, to be explained were how to establish temples of the Lord along with the general behavior, symptoms, duties, and the occupation of a Vaishnava. And at every step, Lord Chaitanya said, Sanatan Goswami should give documentary evidence from the Puranas. Thus, the Lord gave a summary of all the topics Sanatan should include in his book on Vaishnav regulative principles.
Lord Chaitanya is so specific, huh? There is no room for any mental speculation or imagination, or it should be like this or maybe like this. He's so specific. He's telling him how everything is to be carried out.
Sanatan Goswami was a great devotee of the Lord, and he was directly instructed to spread the cult of bhakti by writing many books. There is a description of Sanatan in Caitanya Chandra Uday, where it is said that Sanatan Goswami was one of the most important personalities in the government of Nawab Hussain Shah. Sanatan's brother Rupa Goswami was also a minister in the government, but both of them gave up their lucrative government post to become mendicants and serve the Supreme Lord. Externally, the brothers became just like ordinary mendicants, but their hearts were filled with transcendental loving service and a great love for the cowherd boy of Vrindavan. Indeed, Sanatan Goswami was dear to all the pure devotees of his time.
So externally, it seemed that Rup Sanatan, that they are these great ministers in the government of Nawab Hussain Shah, but they were always pure devotees. Right? Pure devotees should be, let's see, we have 5 minutes. You all want to begin the next chapter?
I think we can begin the next chapter.
Okay, sure.
Chapter 17. Lord Chaitanya, the original personality of Godhead. Following in the footsteps of Kaviraj Krishnadas Goswami, we offer our respectful obeisances onto the lotus feet of the Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is described as follows. He is the only shelter for the forlorn, the fallen, and he is the only hope for those who are completely devoid of the spiritual knowledge. let us try to discuss his great contributions of devotional service.
So here, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, Lord Chaitanya is the only shelter of the fallen, the most fallen, complete devoid of spiritual knowledge. So Lord Chaitanya actually came for us because he knows we have no qualification. Krishna and when he came as Lord Chaitanya is his most audarya. That's why the Chaitanya Leela is full of audarya, full of mercy. And so devotees, they relish Chaitanya Leela more than Krishna Leela because it's amazing. Lord Chaitanya is just spreading Krishna prema everywhere, it's like inundating the whole universe and Krishna prema. Just wherever he's going, it's like a domino effect, that everyone is drowning in the ocean of Krishna prema. And he does not ask. He doesn't say, oh, first you surrender to me. Krishna says, first you surrender to me, Arjun. Then I will take away all your sinful reactions. Lord Chaitanya doesn't do that. He knows we have no qualification. He knows our position. He's so accepting to each and every one of us. He's saying, you just take this mantra, chant Hare Krishna, and you get this Krishna prema. So we can beg to the mercy of Shri Shri Gaurnata. They're very merciful.
The supremely powerful Lord Krishna becomes manifest in the 5 different features, although he is one without a second, in order to serve 5 specific spiritual purposes. He becomes manifest in the 5 ways. Such diversity is eternal and blissful, in contrast to the conception of the monotonous oneness. From the Vedic literature, we can understand that the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, eternally exists with his diverse energies. Lord Chaitanya appeared with the full diverse energies, and they are 5 in number. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya is said to be Krishna with the diverse energies.
Let's continue reading.
There is no difference between the energy and the energetic in the regard to the Lord's appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his 4 associates Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, Gadadhar Pandit, and Srinivas Thakur. Among these 5 diverse... Srivas Thakur. Among these 5 diverse manifestations of the Supreme Lord, as the Lord himself and his expansions, incarnations, devotional energy, and devotee, there is no spiritual difference. They are 5 in one absolute truth. For the sake of relishing transcendental flavors in the absolute truth, there are 5 diverse manifestations. These are called the form of a devotee, the identity of a devotee, the incarnation of a devotee, the devotional energy, and the pure devotee.
So here Prabhupada is explaining it. Yeah.
Out of the 5 diversities in the absolute truth, the form of the Lord Chaitanya is that of the original personality of Godhead Krishna. Lord Nityananda is the manifestation of the first expansion of the Supreme Lord. Similarly, Advaita Prabhu is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. These 3, Chaitanya, Nityananda, and Advaita, belong to the category of the Vishnu Tattva, or the Supreme Absolute Truth. Srivas represents the pure devotee, and the Gadadhar represents the internal energy of the Lord for the advancement of the pure devotion. Therefore, Gadadhar and Srivas, although on the Vishnu platform, are dependent, diverse energies of the Supreme Lord. In other words, they are not different from the energetic, but they are manifested diversely for the sake of the relishing transcendental relationship. The whole process of devotional service involves a transcendental reciprocation of the flavors of the relationship between the worshipper and the worshipped. Without such a diverse exchange of transcendental flavors, devotional service has no meaning.
So, who are the members of the Panchatattva?
Nityananda Prabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
Yes.
Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya,
Yes.
Srivas, and Gadadhar
Yes.
Pandit.
Yes. And Lord Chaitanya, he is
Krishna
who's he?
himself.
Yes.
Krishna himself
And Nityananda Prabhu
is the first extension.
Yes, he's
Balaramji
Balaramji. Yes, that's right. His first expansion, Balaram. And Advaita Acharya?
is Vishnu. No, Brahmaji. Brahma.
No,
Is he
Mahavishnu.
Mahavishnu?
The incarnation of Mahavishnu. So that's why he said that they are in Vishnu category. They are all Vishnu Tattva, Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda, and Advaita. Tulsi leaves can be offered to them, or should be offered to them, or can be. But not to Gadadhar Pandit and Srivas Thakur. Why? Because Gadadhar Pandit, who is he?
Gadadhar is
Internal energy. Radharani.
Is it Radharani?
That's right.
He's the Radharani.
That's right. Expansion of Srimati Radharani and Srivas Thakur.
Is the pure devotee.
That's right.
He's the devotee.
Yes, he's a devotee. Narad Muni.
Narad Muni.
He's an incarnation of Narad Muni. So he's a Jiva Tattva. So what Prabhupada is explaining to us that Gadadhar Pandit and Srivas, they are energies of Krishna, right? Internal energy and Jiva energy of Krishna. So it's like sun and sunshine, simultaneously one and not different. One, because sun, sunshine, we use the same, no? But yet different because the function is different, the size is different, like that. So they are not different, as Prabhupada is saying, but they are manifested diversely. Why? For having pastimes. Krishna likes to have pastimes. You know, when we are alone, it's not so relishable as when we have someone that we can share the experience together with. So Krishna sharing his experiences with all his devotees, his energies, external, well, not external. He does not personally associate with external energy, but his internal potency is, we are also part of that. We are spiritual too, but we are marginal. So Krishna likes that loving exchange, transcendental flavors, the rasa, transcendental reciprocation. Any relationship, there is a reciprocation. Similarly, each of us has this transcendental reciprocation with Krishna. We'll continue reading about it tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening and joining it. Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol.